Obviously you've worked with a lot of athletes. What is, when you say about pay the price, the pain that they go through, how does that look for somebody like a gold medal winner?
It looks like an everyday commitment where you wake up every day and say, just like Clint Eastwood, you say, today I'm going to be a champion. I work with Adam Peaty, the gold medal swimmer, and he arrives at the swimming pool at 6 o'clock in the morning. And before he goes in, he stops and says, today I will train like a champion. And he trains for 2 hours like a champion. Nobody in the pool can get near him. He works so hard. And he comes back again at 6 o'clock in the evening and he stops outside the arena and says, tonight I'm going to train like a champion. And he trains like a champion. I gave a talk some years ago when Adam was a bit younger about attitudes to training. And I said, there's various types of attitudes to training. There's the just turn up, so that you get athletes who just turn up. It's training tonight, I'll just turn up. You get athletes who turn up to compete, or turn up to train, turn up to train. They'll turn up, they'll do the requisite amount of work, but that's it. Athletes who turn up to compete, they put a bit more effort in. They try to be the best amongst their group. Then there's the athletes who train to win. They train every day, every session, so that they win on match night. And then I remember saying to Adam's group, there are just those very few players who train to dominate. They train so hard that winning is inevitable on race night. And Adam said, that clicked with me. I decided I was going to train to dominate. So he said, when I go into the Olympic final, I know I'm going to win. I know I've done more than anybody else. I feel so good.
That's given me goosebumps, that has. That's amazing. So I think as well as a non-athlete, a non-professional athlete, we see the athletes and we think a lot of the psychology is based around game day, it's race day, whatever it is. So how much is based on the consistency of showing up 360 days a year, whatever it is, and having the right psychology in those moments?
Everything. Race day should be inevitable. Winning should be inevitable. That's the price that athletes pay. But race day is fun because there's a crowd, there's cameras, there's your family, your friends. And it's nice to do that. What they don't see, the people in the arena don't see, is you on your own at 6 o'clock in the morning, working out, sweating, struggling. And that's what makes champions, the ability to motivate themselves to do the work on their own that leads to success in the arena.
What builds an athlete up? So we've got the training aspect of it, but there's so many more like meticulous little bits. Like, in your experience, what goes into creating an athlete, including like diet, sleep, like all these things that they're thinking about?
Well, there are 4 main elements. There's the physical element. You've got to take care of your strength, speed, stamina, nutrition, sleep, health. There's the technical element. Each activity has a skill base, so you've got to develop the skills. So for Adam Peaty, it would be skills, swimming stroke, turning, diving in, turning. And then you've got to develop the tactical intelligence to compete, follow a plan, know your position on the field, know how you relate to the members of the team, know how to deal with certain situations in the game, 1-0 up or 1-0 down. And then there's the mental element. That's building the confidence and belief that you are a champion, that you can do this. So it's that that change from being in the dressing room, the comfort zone, to being in the tunnel before a big game, breathing in, to going on the field and believing and having the confidence to do what you do well.
Okay, so let's take a step back. How did you get into the football? What was the pull to switch sports to football?
Well, it was by accident, really. I'd finished coaching England and I'd had this really growing interest in sports psychology, but I was a principal of a college, and we hired some of our facilities to the Football Association for coaching courses, and a chap called Mick Wadsworth came along, and some or other we finished up having a cup of tea together, and we got talking, and he became fascinated. And when he held a course in the summer at Lillyshaw for 200 youth coaches, he invited me to speak to them what they could learn about what sports psychology you could do for football. And that was it, really, because in the audience was Steve McLaren, a young under-17 coach for Oxford United, and he went on to become a famous coach, and I went on his journey. I went with Mick to Carlisle first, and then with Steve McLaren on the journey to Derby, Man United, England, Middlesbrough, FC20. So it sort of happened. It's one of those nice things in life where I'd reached the age where I wasn't looking for anything. I thought I had a pretty good career and I was fine, but I had this interest, and I quite liked sharing it. And I met some good people who allowed me the opportunity to share it with football players, and actually they took to it quite well.
In a general sense, in sports, just across the board, is sports psychology still overlooked, or is it becoming like more of a thing at the moment?
It is. It's on its way. It's going to be very big. I think there's a generation of coaches that are going through that don't know a lot about it and perhaps a little bit intimidated by it. The word psychology can be frightening. But there's a young generation of coaches coming along who are far more familiar with it and far less threatened, and they will involve. I mean, it's hard now to think of somebody, a superstar athlete, who wouldn't have a sports psychologist on their support staff, because the stresses and strains that they're putting. I'm thinking about young Miss Raducanu, who's just won the American Open tennis at 18. The world has changed for her with one victory. The media can't get enough of her. The commercial opportunities. She's won one tournament. She's 19 now, I think. She needs help. I mean, she's a very, very sensible girl, a very intelligent girl, but I still think she would benefit from having a sports psychologist on her team.
As many of you know, we are independent creators and filmmakers, but there is a massive attack on us right now. Traditional media over the last few years has started to slowly die. They are no longer the independent voice that you first thought they were. That's why we've created Mulligan Brothers Patreon. We've built something special for our most dedicated supporters, and I want to break it down for you real quick. The supporter tier gets you ad-free early access to both video and audio versions of Mulligan Brothers interviews 24 hours before it goes public. The executive tier gets you everything that a supporter tier gets, plus more. Exclusive interviews and behind the scenes content, walk and talks, daily routines, unreleased interviews, the stuff that you don't see anywhere else. And finally, the executive producer tier. Everything from the supporter tier and the executive tier, plus exclusive perks. Access to our treatment packages. Be the first to see which guests are coming up and get insight into the topics we'll be discussing before anyone else. And you'll even get an executive producer credit on every single documentary that we make. So if you've ever wanted to support the Mulligan Brothers mission of inspiring change so we can go around the world and get these stories that nobody else will, this is exactly how you do it. Go to patreon.com/MulliganBrothers or click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Join the community and help us inspire change.